Welcome back to the channel and the broadcast. Paul, Peterhead, Scotland, clean by the grace of God, the company I keep, steps I take, listening to people share their experiences, strength and hopes, morning devotions, nightly inventory, and I'm really pleased to be joined today by Neil.
Hi everybody, my name's Neil. I'm an addict. I'm currently on the Wirral, which is Merseyside, and I'm 18 months in recovery today.
Excellent. Thanks for coming along, taking time out today to share your message with us, Neil. So if there's anyone listening to this looking for sponsorship, we have current male and female sponsorship lists. If you let us know in the chat, wherever you see this post, just put your first name, your number, and we'll happily send you the sponsorship list on WhatsApp. There's also a whole host of ebooks, PDFs, resources we can send you completely free, of course, on WhatsApp. So if you want any of those, let us know. There's also very healthy WhatsApp groups where you can network and get a lot of resources on a daily basis. On the screen, there's going to be different readings. We'll be reading something from, we'll be looking at something as well on the screen whilst the brother is sharing from our basic text, Alcoholics Anonymous, the big book. So yeah, later on there'll be a screen displaying daily meetings that are on every day on Zoom. So bear in mind you can pause, rewind, fast forward, and share this broadcast wherever you wish. If you choose to like and subscribe it, that simply helps more people see the podcast. So yeah, without further ado, Neil, appreciate you. Going to hand over to you, my friend. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Paul, and welcome to the viewers out there. My name is Neil, and I am an addict. And I just want to start with a bit of gratitude, as I normally do. I'm going to try and follow a bit of structure, because I know my favourite topic is me. That's what I've had to learn in recovery at this stage. So I'm going to have a bit of structure. I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes about how I met Paul. I met Paul on an online meeting. It kind of hit me at the level, and his introduction then, I don't actually know what Paul looks like. But there's a thing I want to stress, that the main point of this talk is the spirit of recovery. That's something I'm trying to live in today. In this interview, and Paul, the online relationship I've had with Paul, the small interactions I want to try and do in the spirit of recovery. So so a bit of history. I went to my first AA meeting in 1999. My dad had just died an alcoholic death. I was 21 years of age. What I now know upon reflection, I was heavily in addiction. I was lost. I was riddled with fear, loss, grief, all this stuff. And I tried to ignore, suppress, use, run away, every single thing I could possibly do than face the grief I was in. And it eventually led me into denial of my dad's death, which has essentially brought me here today. I wouldn't say I was in recovery in 1999. I went to meetings. I first got introduced to the literature we use, the big book, obviously in another fellowship, and some lovely members in my hometown. I was 21 years of age. The next person was 3 other people. I vividly remember it at dark. It was actually a dingy church. It had a hole in the roof. They actually relocated not long after, which was pivotal in helping. But yeah, the next person was about 55 years of age. They were all drinkers, drug of choice, if you like, or I'd like to term it. And they wrapped around me. They done the best. They carried the message, picked me up and took me to meetings. And I essentially put alcohol down. It's just, I wasn't in recovery. I attempted it. I'd done it to the best of my ability at that stage, but I just wanted the pain to go. And I did essentially stop drinking. It's just, and this is what I love about CA. I started sniffing cocaine then without alcohol. 25 years of running from my dad's death and life events, the usual stuff. I had an abortion, failed relationships with girls, went to work too hard, played too hard. Best friend committed suicide. The usual, all the above, which many of the people you see in the rooms have. And it essentially brought me to my knees in 2019. 2 children later, an 8-year failed relationship from my part. A lot of pain and a lot of misery. But 2019 is the point where I like to say I changed and I entered recovery. I got to a point of 12 months of not seeing my children, because I now know in this spirit of recovery that I have today, because my drug use. the finger was pointing at that stage, and I'm going to swear now, I don't normally swear, but I'm going to swear for them. That bitch, the mother of my children, had stopped me seeing my kids. I saw them kids every day. I loved them. They were my reason for living. I took them to school every day, and she was all the horrible things I could think and feel, and it was all her fault. It wasn't until I got
Right, okay.
on reflection that I realised that I didn't know that girl when my dad had died. When I first started taking cocaine addictively. It was I didn't actually know her. I was 16 when I first took me the first round of cocaine. I was 30 when I was 29 when I met my girlfriend. So that first bit of denial around the addiction was broken. So so that was the first big lesson I learned in 2019. I don't want to state at this case and what happened. I had a period, so the 12-month period come. I was knocking on the exes probably once a month because I knew I couldn't overdo it. To demand to see my children. And she told me where to go every time, so I went straight to dealer. It was very painful. It was very torturous. I can still remember that time, and I'd become to a rock and a hard place where I had to go to court, and I knew to go to court I had to be clean to stand any chance, and I was broken. It's what I now know. The spirit recovery that holds me 5 years on at 18 months clean. It's that pain and that torture that was a gift that drove me to resiliently keep getting back up after failed attempts. So my message at this point, I would like to say, them people out there watching this who are struggling, who don't know what they suffer with, who don't know what's going on, who go to them effing meetings, what are they all chatting? I can honestly say I went sometimes, I come into recovery 2019 kicking and screaming. But what I now know, that was the gift of desperation. That's still not fully processed at the moment, 18 months in. I'm just talking about what happened. I'm going to have another 5 minutes on this. I'm just trying to structure this before I tell you the miracles that exist in my life today. There's a period of me from the 2019 where I had to get clean and go do this core process. I had to leave my hometown. And I, again, like that force of that bitch stopped me seeing the kids. I had to abandon my kids and leave my hometown. I'd abandon them. And abandon's like a word, but my addiction, which had riddled long before they were born, it caused me to not be present with them as I could be. I spent time with them, and I wouldn't leave them mum, even though the relationship was awful. There was 4 other children, so there was 6 altogether. And I was riddled with fear. I couldn't fear walking away from the relationship that I detested for a number of reasons. And it was fear that made me stay in the house and behave in ways where I couldn't cope. I'd invite pressure. I'd do the school runs, I'd cook tea, I told the ex to go to uni, all this stuff that laid and burdened on my feet that I couldn't cope. And there was a few reasons I'd use where I couldn't cope. F this after an argument. Or I've done my bit today, I've done my best, so I deserve a bender. And I now know that sparked the obsession. That could be 3 or 4 days deep. Left the ex. He was in full-time university with 6 children and a house to run. All this stuff upon reflection, that in the spirit of recovery, I can only be aware of now. These are words till I fully process my part, approach, and try and make some form of a step. 8, 9 promises. 8, 9, step 8, 9, so the promises come. So that's kind of that. There's other issues. And I want to talk now. I want to talk for about 15 minutes on where I am today. So I got to 9 months in 2019 in a different fellowship, diligently doing the steps. And I got up to, I mocked this a little bit. I call it the long-winded way. But it served me well. It got me nearly to 12 months, 2 years running. I was invested in it. Lockdown come, and I started the core process. It was weird because I remember picking the book up and working. I really had all this time. I was doing a lot of Zoom. Twitter found Zoom. I kind of done the 4 suggested things, for want of a better expression, till I went round the bend. I made mistakes. I got in relationship with a housemate, which was frowned upon. I didn't tell my sponsor, I didn't tell anyone. I justified not telling anyone that she was on a final written warning, so she would be thrown out. So that was my justification to enter into a relationship underhand, which I knew shouldn't happen. It seemed like forever where it didn't get physical. It's probably about 6 weeks all in all, but living with her constantly got physical. And then that's where coming up to 6, 9 months clean, got in the court process, doing the steps, doing Zoom meetings, speaking with my sponsor, but I can see the errors in my way now in the spirit recovery. And the crumble happened. I got to a point where I thought I couldn't cope. So I picked up, I was made homeless. That's what I mean. Consequences only keep you clean for so long. And for some people who are in the grips of addiction, consequences is a good place to start. Gift of desperation. That if someone told me that was a gift when I hadn't seen my kids for that time and I had that notion of that bitch, if someone had told me that that was a gift I was feeling that day, I'd have been swinging, as in punching. It's only now, upon reflection in the spirit recovery, I can see that is what's driving me to them 9 months to get back up. So then I went to when I got made homeless. I had to go back to Blackpool. I went to Blackpool supported housing after the 2-month binge, which I now know had sparked the obsession. I had a couple of years ups. It wasn't like it was kind of like my whole using was low. I wouldn't say it was an ultimate rock bottom. The ultimate rock bottom, emotional bottom, is them 12 months of not seeing my kids. It actually went to 22 months, then got granted an hour a month, court ordered. But I can see that pain, and that was really pain. I didn't stay clean in that time. Again, so yeah, I want to talk about this actual period of 18 months. I'd relapsed again. This time again, it was our mental health had gone. I said, F it, I can't cope. So I'll pick up, spark the obsession, and then I really can't cope. That is the insanity I suffer with. But this time, what I'd done was I'd relapsed, got made homeless back in my mum's spare room, the place I'd used, the kind of like, I want to touch on mental health. I can't really go off on a train on the mental health because it's still unresolved. So I'd just be spewing bile mess all over the meeting. So in that terms, I'm just going to label it mental health. I got sectioned in 2005. The institutions that I visited were mental health institutions, all due to addiction, all due to behaviours, both innate and learned. But yeah, that I can't cope, so I deserve or I need that line of cocaine is the exact crux of the attitude I have that leads me to press effort, and then anyone who cares about me is in pain and turmoil and worry. That is the cycle. But I'd relapsed. I'd had a use up Christmas Day, the old effort. I was lonely. Christmas is a very lonely period for me. I kind of like, there's a few terms for it. I think I've got them all as sad acronym. The festive period, the happy log fire with the family all sitting around. That is not my experience. My dad's birthday was the 2nd of Jan. He died on the 9th of Jan. And I've generally started Christmas in December, so I've never got no money. I owe everyone money, and it's awful. I'm just going to talk. I'm just conscious. I don't know how long the talk has been going on for, but I'm going to use 10 minutes. So I'd relapsed Christmas Day. I went home for 2 weeks to see my mum. My mum's a bone of contention. I'm not going to talk about today. That's a work in progress. So I went home to be normal. Christmas Day, after eating food, I said F it, went round to a friend's without a big mad story. I spent the night with a girl who was intoxicated as well. She was struggling. And when the next day, Boxing Day, I was seeing my kids. I knocked on the door at 12 o'clock. They were busy doing something. But I went home and I knew deep down, and it's that honesty of that the pit of the stomach. And like, I shouldn't be doing this. And it was weird because I got honest. I made a phone call about 2 days later, told the houses I was in. They gave me till the Tuesday, I forget the date. But from the back of Christmas to New Year, I'm usually using. And then this January and the New Year, I'm really, really low for the bad reasons. And yeah, so I got honest on the phone. He said, come and see us on Tuesday, which took us over when they were back in work, which took us over January. And I was asked to leave. I was back in my mum's spare room. And the ultimate bit, that's the mental health. I've been through the steps and I'm actually sponsoring today. And part of me being here today is me practicing my step 12. But, but, uh, but, um, but then, yeah, I ushered me lad out the room because I'd arranged the bed to go to get out my hometown, because that's what I've got to do when the obsession's on. I've got to get away from the people I can score off in order to not use when the things get hard. So I ushered the lad out the room because I had one last use up before I went to this treatment centre. So yeah, I'm just gonna have 5 minutes now because I will have to go shortly. I ushered my lad out the room, which I'd been in the room saying if I got my kids back, it'd be different. I'd said 101 things. It's only now in the spirit recovery that I see when I put one in, anything I've said, anything I've done means nothing. And that's not, I didn't mean it at the time, but the disease of addiction, the power of drugs, the way I suffer with the allergy, all bets are off, and I'll know that, and that is my truth. And I think that applies to 99% of the people who thoroughly follow this program, in my experience. And yeah, it was weird. That's still when I see his little face now, because it's going well with the kids now. I'm dedicated, which I always was. I went through the book in that treatment centre, and the treatment centre was an amazing place. Like I say, it was the first bed on my hometown, and they recovered through fitness, arts, and culture. A place called DJK House. Any males out there, it's a place I highly recommend. There's a community of 17 lads when it's full. And you recover, you go to theatres, you play a lot of sports. The fitness is really tough. For about 6 weeks, I had a level of fitness as a child, but I really struggled. It was touch and go. I was going to make it. And you have groups, you go to theatres, you write poetry. It was just unbelievable. It's hard to put in a little shell what that place done for me. And it wasn't all singing and dancing. I had outside stuff. My daughter was getting expelled from school, so I kept coming off programme. And to go and try and sort that, she was back in my life. And there was a period, it was about 6 weeks in, where the fitness was struggling, the head was doing a number. We had to be up early and out on it on most days to train. And my head was doing a number on me, but I literally got up and done it because I didn't want to be homeless. And after about 6 weeks, I got told I couldn't come off the weekly. They put a weekly program up on a Sunday. I couldn't come off program to go to my daughter's sort my daughter's school. I could do anything on the phone. They'd give me time, but I could have an hour off basically. But I had to. I couldn't just one off for the day and come back. And it was weird when I spoke to my sponsor. He's a big firm believer in the book. He's a CA member. His 12th step is the reason I'm here today. And that is truly liberating and blows my mind on how he nurtured me through that relapse. But he told me I need to put my respective home first. And my head would tell me my respective home is a home with my children, but I'm not fortunate enough to be in that position because of my behaviour. So my respective home had to be this place with 17 lads, and that was a tough one to swallow, but I swallowed it. I didn't want to be homeless. There was a couple of other lessons. There was 3 members of staff. One lived on 24/7, and 2 of the members, one in recovery, 17 years, one with a vast knowledge in all areas. It was a mum and son partnership, and they changed my life. And it was weird. It became clear to me at this point where once the fitness come, I started relishing it. We played football, which I love as a child. And yeah, it was liberating. And I knew a divide staff me. I knew it was like, they knew the Christmas period, the 9 months, but not getting to 12-month cycle was coming. So I put a staunch plan in. I landed on the 1st of Feb. That's my clean date. 1st of March, I apologise, 2023. But I knew after about 6 months in that like they wouldn't kick me out to the curb. I wasn't a bad lad, but I wasn't conforming. And I know upon reflection, and the spirit recovery I talk about was first talked about in this place by the man who was 17 years clean, and I truly lived by that. That was the missing piece for me. I can take a lot with the program coupled with doing things in the spirit recovery. Has changed my life, and I don't get it perfect. Yeah, but I'm not going to talk for too much longer because I'm actually in work. I want to talk about what's going on today. So today, like I say, I've been through the steps. My mental health is gone. I'm in counselling, which I'm paying for myself, which I'm about 9 weeks in, is liberating and being shown me insanity. With the page I'm on with that, it's outside help in the book. I am seeking outside help, and it's tough. But with my CA program, with the fledgling faith I have, with bedding down on the basics and the support of my sponsor and my CA members and my friends and family, I can now cope. I'm only coping for probably 16 hours in a week a day. I have a routine. That's flimsy at best, but I now know what it means to work a program. So I'm true grateful member of Cocaine Anonymous. I do 30 steps most days, like step 12 today. I've done I've been up since 3:30 this morning. I've done that's not normally. I'm normally up early, but I didn't have my meds last night. Life stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to speak any longer. It's great to be of service. I want to thank you, Paul, for giving me this opportunity. So if we can just have 5 minutes of questions, mate, and then I will have to crack on. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Neil. Thanks for sharing, taking time out of your day. A lot of identification with some of the things you shared, a bit of due diligence. Welcome to anyone that may be new to Cocaine Anonymous. You never need to use again. It's a program of mercy, a program of acceptance, a program of courage, a program of willingness, and we take the best advice from various groups. That's why the program works so exceptionally well. Psychiatry tells us we need an ongoing, vital spiritual experience. Faith groups tell us we need a personal, transparent kind of relationship with the Creator. Medicine tells us we need entire abstinence. And the ongoing spiritual experience gives me power to maintain my commitment to staying clean, Neil, and that's how I'm clean today. And thank you for being a part of that today and carrying that message of hope. And as you say, working step 12. So yeah, if anyone is listening to this message and looking for sponsorship, once again, put your name, your first name, and your number in the chat. Just say sponsorship, and we'll send you the list on WhatsApp. Please check out the other broadcasts. We've got about 28 different personal stories, just like this one on this channel, full of experience and wisdom. So do go and listen to those. If you're listening to this and you want to come on the channel and share your story, once again, just put your first name and your number and let us know in the chat, and we will get back to you within a matter of 48 hours or so. There's loads of broadcasts on the ABCs of addiction, the entire psychic change. There's all different kinds of topics. We also recorded, they're not meetings, but there are a handful of us talking about recovery that are on this channel as well. A lot of people enjoy those. So there's lots of resources available, folks, to help you get and stay clean. I enjoyed your share, Neil, and I liked how you said that you're getting outside help, and a lot of us, what they say in AA is we came for our drinking, but we stay for our thinking, right? We came for our drugging, but we stay for our thinking. And recovery is a journey and it's a process. Step 3 is a drastic proposal, turning my thoughts and actions over to God. Power is mentioned 3 times. I don't have it when I'm drinking and drugging. In step 1, I don't have power. I come to believe that there's some power available in step 2. Go through the steps as best I can. I get untangled a little bit. I get a bit of peace, a bit of power, a bit of serenity. I get to step 11. I'm building a relationship with God, and then I get some power. And then I need to be vigilant and self-aware that I've had this experience, and then try to be principled and try to carry a message. God loves a trier, and that's what we do. We try, and it's ultimately a new lifestyle. So, I want to let you back in for a minute or two, Neil, to share any thoughts you've got with our listeners today, just in a very general way. Back to you.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I love your language of recovery, and that's what I want to say. I'm more aimed at the newcomer now, and people who've been around, people with failed recovery who are actually using the gap will know the language that you've just used to some extent. And it's weird. That's what I love about recovery. That's what I love about CA. I'm going to talk about now. I'm kind of okay with whatever, however you get recovery. It's not 12 steps. I haven't got you've got the lion's share, but it's not the only way to recover. So I just embrace recovery. But CA is what I want to channel. Like the literature grows, the approved literature by piece really gets me. It was a loving CA member with 4 years clean who had his own life issues. That's step 12, me through that relapse. When he ushered me lad out, we were picking the book up, doing it on Zoom, and reading. And then, like I say, all bets are off. I'd get paid and I'd go and use and bring them 2 days later when I had no money left. And his peace, his calm, his program, his loving higher power nurtured me through that. And I'm now fostering it myself. But yeah, I'm really grateful. Anyone who's struggling, them new people, I come to CA, that man taught me what I suffered with by using the literature, by being connected to self, to him, and ultimately a higher power, which is the answer to all my problems. And yeah, I learned trust with that man. I now trust myself on the back of that. I have a trusting higher power. We trust with the mental health. We trust of other people. I don't feel in fear. It's like, I want to speak on this final message. I come into that 2019, I was riddled with fear. Like I don't know what the word is, crippled with fear, thinking if I wasn't reunited with my children and I died, what happened to me with my dad happened to them. I couldn't cope. I couldn't think rationally. I have now, with this program, I have outgrew that fear. I'm not saying I've outgrew the fear of like something dreadful happened to my children. I'm no longer vested in the future of what ifs and what maybe. And that is truly liberating. I now accept that either me or my children, or God forbid, in a horrific accident, we were all together, that these are life stuff. And that is the trust and faith I have in this life. And I love my life. Because of the mental health, can't say I love myself, but I love my life. I respect myself and I trust myself. So I know if I stick to CA, stick to the basic program and develop it, work at step 12 diligently, that all will be well. So I'm a grateful member of CA today. And I will do what was done for me, what was asked on the initial meeting. He said to me, we made a contract that there was no cost to this. The only cost would be if I'd done this program and worked with them and learned and stayed clean. The only cost was that I'd then, free of charge, go and give it away. Hence, bring me to this meeting. And yeah, so I'm really grateful for the opportunity, Paul. Yeah, so good luck on your journey. If you're new around, getting to CA is brilliant. Over to you,
Thanks,
Paul.
Neil. Thanks, mate. That's great. Yeah, appreciate you being here and taking time out. I know you're at work there, my friend, so just feel free to to log off if you have to. But yeah, I'm going to share in a general way. Lack of power was the dilemma, really, and it's see, Neil, today. It seemed that the only way, thanks for being here, the only way to get clear was to get some power, and what happens is through this process, you suddenly get some power and learning to live clean. Living clean is much more than not doing drugs. If all I was doing was not doing drugs, the time and place would come again. So whilst it's been a number of continuous years now, your vigilance. We only keep what we have by vigilance. And step 10 is all about vigilance. And we have to be vigilant about our behaviour, which is what we do with our bodies and what comes out of our mouth, and also what we think about. Resentment, fear. What is resentment? Well, it's to resend the mentality. Resentment. It's resending. It's to have sent again the feelings and thoughts about a situation, a person, or something someone said or done. And resentment is anger. It's unresolved feelings of vengeance and anger. And then the next thing is fear. Fear is there's rational fear and irrational fear. And very often fear has to do with confusion. So, resentment and fear has to do with anger and confusion. So if you're angry, that tends to confusion. And anger and confusion tends to harms, because hurt people, and misery likes company. Whereas persons that are whole tend to want others to be whole. Persons that are not whole tend to offend other people. And the healing and the change that happens through this process is amazing. On the screen at the moment, we've got the doctor's opinion, and in there he talks about this altruistic movement of help and encouragement and blessing that's available to anyone. And what happens is we become accountable. Meetings, steps, fellowship, literature, morning devotions, nightly inventory, a sober network, a commitment to literature, all these things will keep you sane, sober, moral, and prudent. But it's really God's power. The steps about getting some power, and people get very confused about the question of God. Well, your next breath comes from God. You all your life you've been kept alive. At this moment in time, you are growing new skin cells. Every moment you've been alive, your body's growing new skin cells. Your body is oxygenating blood. You're breathing. Every moment you're digesting and processing food from top to bottom. Every moment your body's pumping blood all around your entire body. And you're not thinking consciously of doing any of these things. All those things are happening. Well, that's God that's doing that. That's the source, the creator that's doing that, the great reality within each one of us. And it's this internal connection with a higher power, with the source of God, that's ultimately going to keep you clean. The steps about becoming a recovered man or a recovered woman, so you're free in God's power. That's what the steps are about. Becoming free, accountable to God. Standing as a recovered man or a recovered woman in God's power. And it's a great way to live. It's a much better way to live, drinking and drugging, using and boozing. It truly is. So in the doctor's opinion, he goes on to say that most chronic addict alcoholics are doomed unless they can experience an entire psychic change, which is fancy language for an internal shift. A change of persona, a change of perspective, a change of worldview, a different set of priorities. The prime feature being that you're clear that a drink or drug is not going to be helpful. So a drink or drug is not going to be helpful in any way whatsoever. There's no situation in life that can be improved by a drink or drug. And there's no situation that can't be made worse by a drink or a drug. So being clear on these things, that dynamic is the prime feature of the internal shift, the entire psychic change. And Silkworth, the Dr. Silkworth, which is at the very beginning of our basic text that's on the screen, Alcoholics Anonymous, often called the Big Book, he goes on to say the very same person, once they've had this psychic change, is easily able to control their urges to drink and drug. In fact, it's on the screen right there, look. And that's the precious promises of this program. The message is hope, the promise is freedom, and any addict alcoholic can quit drinking and drugging and find a new way to live, and he goes on to say the only effort necessary being required to follow a few simple rules. The steps are called proposals, they're called suggestions, they're called the program of action, and here he says a few simple rules. I tend to think that indicates more than the steps, a few simple rules. I think that would be things like morning devotions, nightly inventory, working with others, but certainly would very much include the steps and the principles behind the steps. So the few simple rules are very, very important, as is reading spiritual literature, as is supporting others in or outside of recovery, and getting involved and taking action. And Silkworth writes here that many people had asked him to help. And the program is moral psychology and divine power. That's what the program is. It's not untrue to say it's an illness, but it's a woefully inadequate description. It's a bodily and mental illness that involves selfishness and foolishness. That's what it is. And that's why the program is spiritual and it's moral. Yeah. And the program is moral psychology and God's power. It's both. I've known folks who have failed at this process because for them it's all been about divine power. Oh, well, all I need is God, or all I need is Muhammad, or all I need is the Lord Jesus Christ. If a human was able to be faithful, and maintain the commitment, that'd probably be true. But the problem is people can't. And the reason is because of their affection for drinking and drugging. They're alcoholic addicts, as we say. And so the steps give you a practical approach to your creator and a way to maintain your sobriety by way of commitment and honesty and clarity. You see, and you maintain your honesty around your problem and the unmanageability of your problem. You have acceptance about that, and you maintain that truth, you see. And so the steps are designed to get you connected to infinite power, infinite love, infinite truth. And through the maintenance of that connection, you never need to use again. So the program is spiritual and it's moral. And I've known people fail and die because for them it's all about moral psychology. They just need to know this latest whiz or way to say something. You know, they just need a certain phrase or a slogan and a new way of thinking. So ultimately they're back at self again. If you've not got God, it's like this, folks. If God is not God to you, then your opinions, your circumstances, yourself, and other folk around you will become God to you. It's like that. You can either get right with God and have God be God, or your opinions, your circumstances, yourself, and your people around you will become God to you. That's how it is. So take your choice. Dr. Bob would say to people, you have to get right with God. You really do. You know, and God doesn't make difficult terms with alcoholic addicts. He goes on to talk about the mental craving and the situations that arise from the phenomena of craving. And then he goes on to talk about persons that can't maintain that commitment, and they're often normal in every respect except the effect alcohol and drugs has upon them. They're often able, intelligent, and friendly folks. He goes on to talk about the phenomena of craving. It's the manifestation of an allergy. And the only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence. So he goes on to cite 2 cases of people that were nearly dead from addiction. One was hiding in a barn, determined to die. The other one had pathological mental deterioration. It's on the screen there. And also gastric hemorrhage, which means he had a big hole in his gut. So whatever he drank or ate leaked out into his body cavity. And his mind was gone. Pathological mental deterioration is a severe mental classification. So his head and his body was gone through drinking and drugging. But once he accepted the plan in this book, he recovered. And a year later, he came to see Silkworth. And Silkworth says, 1 year later, he came to see me. I experienced a very strange sensation. I knew the man by name and partly recognised his features. But there all resemblance ended. From a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck had emerged a man brimming over with self-reliance and contentment. I talked to him for some time, but was not able to bring myself to feel I'd known him before. To me, he was a stranger, and so he left me. A long time has passed with no return to alcohol. And then the man hiding in the barn, and he accepted he became sold. He accepted the plan outlined in this book, and he's not had a drink for many years. I see him now and then, and he's as fine a specimen of manhood as one could wish to meet. I earnestly advise every alcoholic to read this book through, and though perhaps they came to scoff, they may remain to pray. Okay, family, stay safe, stay strong. Do listen to the other podcasts. I suppose I ought to put on the screen the meeting screen. I'll just say a word. Here it is. There it is. So feel free to take a screenshot of that. All those meetings are on every single day, folks. The UK Samaritans number's at the bottom right, as is the CA UK helpline. There's a lot of help and support there. As I say, you won't be required to put your camera on or talk. You can simply log in and listen to the meetings. They're all healthy meetings, and they're on every single day. So connection is protection, and the identification we get with other people in recovery in the rooms is a very powerful thing. Okay, folks, we'll be back soon with another podcast. Stay strong in the literature, in prayer, in meetings, working with others, nightly inventory, morning devotions, and you can have a great future. Okay,